What is up, you guys? I am Mike, and this is Elise, and welcome to our YouTube channel. So, today's video is going to be kind of like the one that I posted yesterday. Elise has run off. There she is. It's going to be kind of like the one that I posted yesterday. It's going to be a service dog basics training for beginners. I just want to put a disclaimer. There are a few disclaimers actually. One, I am not a professional dog trainer. That is my aspiration, is to be a professional dog trainer and a veterinarian. Unfortunately, I'm not a professional dog trainer. If you are looking for professional dog training, I'm probably not the person to go to. This is just my experiences. Yes, I'm pretty educated, and yes, I can answer a lot of your questions, but if you are looking for a professional to trust their word on, I am probably not the person to go to. Yes, I have trained 3 service dogs of my own and multiple pets such as cats, guinea pigs, and rabbits. I have trained animals. My whole life I have trained animals. And Elise is actually these. I know I said I trained 3 dogs. I trained 3 dogs, not as service dogs. But Elise is my second successfully trained service dog. So I like to think that I'm a pretty decent dog trainer. The second disclaimer is that this is just purely based on my experiences and experiences that I've seen of other handlers. This is the stuff that I did to personally teach my dog the stuff that she knows. I have not had any help whatsoever except for one friend. And that one friend didn't come until later in Elise's career. I think she was at least a year old by then, and she started training when she was 7 months. She knew a lot of the stuff that she still knows. She knew a lot of the stuff that she did when he came along. So unfortunately, I have had to train Elise all by myself without any education whatsoever, but it's still been successful. So this is the methods that I use to train her. I know in the last video I said I was going to teach you how to do paw. The thing about that is it was just a really bad day for me. But today is Saturday. I had lots of good rest, and this is a pre-training session before I head to the mall. I will try to record my trip to the mall, or some training on my laptop. I don't know how that's going to go. If it goes well, then that should be the second video that I film and post. I'm thinking that I'm going to film this video, post it, and then a mini training trip to the mall while using the commands that I've already done in the Service Dog Basics, kind of working on that. The third disclaimer today is that I use German commands. If you haven't watched my last video, I would suggest watching that if you don't know how to train sit, down, or stay, because those are the commands that I've already taught, and I'm not going to go over them in this video at all. Yes, I will use some of the commands to get her into like positions or stuff that she knows, but other than that, I'm not really going to be using that or reteaching those commands today in this video. Okay, so today's video I'm going to be focusing on, I think, 4 things. I tried to focus on 5 in the last video and it didn't go very well. So I'm going to try the goal of 4 things per Service Dog Basics video. So today I'm obviously going to work on paw first, because I thought I was going to do that in the last video and I ended up not doing it. So we are definitely going to do paw today. I'm going to try to teach heel. I'm going to try to teach wait and come. So it's going to go in this order: paw, come, as in come when called, heel, and halt, which the last 3 are pretty important things. Stop and halt are almost the same thing. I use stop and halt as 2 separate commands, meaning 2 separate things. Halt as in both of them. So I am going to teach you all of those commands today, how to train them, or how I trained Elise to do those commands. And I hope this is helpful for you guys. So let me go ahead and switch my position, and I will get back to you with the first command, paw. Okay, so this is the position the camera is going to be in today. I'm obviously going to be back here with Elise, who is right here. She's a little bit anxious because there's some construction going on over there. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you the materials you're going to need, or the materials that I'm going to be using for today. So I'm going to be using an e-collar. mainly because sometimes people come out here and she gets anxious, mainly because she has those guard instincts because we're at home and she's had a lot of experience with having to help me with panic attacks here. Obviously the remote to the e-collar. This is not something that you're going to necessarily need. This is purely for her. I also clicker trained my dog. So we're going to be using a clicker and treats. I suggest high-value treats or praise if your dog doesn't necessarily like treats. Elise is very treat motivated though, so I'm going to be using treats. And this is optional, but a vest. I am going to be vesting Elise today just because she has to learn to get used to the vest. This is her tactical military vest, which is brand new. If you haven't seen her old vest, I will show that in another video, new gear versus old gear. Unfortunately, I do have to adjust this vest, so I'm going to go ahead and do that so that this isn't that much of a boring video. Ellie, come. Right here. Sit. So you are going to notice that Elise is going to be a little bit anxious today. For good reason. It's a little bit crowded outside. There's people, there's construction. She's very protective. Today is also grooming day, so expect that video. But today's grooming day and she knows it's coming. So just kind of try to bear with me. She is anxious. If she gets too anxious, I'm going to have to cut the video short, unfortunately. But our goal today is at least paw and come. So I'm going to mainly focus on those only because of how anxious she is. So unfortunately in this video we will not be getting to heel or halt. Ellie, come here. As you can see, she's very anxious. Come here. Back up. Come here. Sit. Okay. This is how I personally taught Paw. First, I got down on her level, so she's more comfortable. Let me make sure. Okay, she's taking treats, so she's not too bad. At least Paw. Just to show you, that is what it's going to look like in the end of the video. So, for me, what I personally did, see, she's not, there we go, good girl, Paw, is I got her, I teased her with treats. Unfortunately, that doesn't work for her, so I ended up just picking up her paw. Good girl, treat. Picking up her paw. Good girl, treat. Eventually, she kind of just figures it out herself. Good girl. If she picks up her paw in any way to touch my hand, that is an extremely good girl. Yes, you're doing good. You're such a good girl. Yeah. And lots of praise. Even though she already knows this, praise is essential for your dog. If your dog knows that they are doing something good, then it'll most likely motivate them to keep doing that good. That's such a good girl. And she's getting lots of treats and praise today for doing things right because she is so anxious. We'll see how the heel and the halt comes about. Now, I know this is not a lot of space, but it's shady right here. I don't want to keep her in the sun for too long. So we're doing this in the shade, which is not very good for training heel. So I may have to come out later and train this. Ellie. Good girl. Sit. Okay, so now we're going to work on come. Stay. Sit. Lie. And I'm also going to start featuring her German commands, mainly so that she can know them. Okay, so this is what the camera angle is going to look like. Ellie, okay? I'm going to have her sitting right here. Sit. Okay, so she's going to be right there. Now, this is how to train come when called. You will want to start at a very short distance like this one. You can start at a longer distance. I would recommend a short distance. Now, Elise obviously knows the word come. Hers is here. Good girl. So, you're going to want to be the most interesting thing. Obviously, have your high-value treats. Ellie, girl, Ellie. Good girl, come. When they come to you, that's such a good girl. When they come to you, good boy, good girl, whatever you use. Brav for me is German for good dog. You're going to want to use whatever they know is good. As you can see, her tail is tucked, so this is not necessarily a good day to be filming this. But, yeah, we're going to only film, I'm going to try to film as much as I can. But, yeah, that's come when called. You're going to be the most interesting thing they've ever seen. Let me go ahead and, up the distance. Ellie, come here. Go. So I send her off. Ellie, get up. Ellie, come. Come here, baby. Good girl. And she comes. Treat. Good girl. Good girl. I haven't been using the clicker because I don't really feel like trying to do that today. I'm going to clip this on here. I clicker train her. After she's trained, I don't use the clicker. Okay. So you're going to want to be the most interesting thing. This is also called a recall. I would use their name, Elise Come. It's basically what I use to train her. So the next thing I'm going to teach is going to be the heel position and starting the walk. So scoot up, Billy. So I'm going to start, she already knows the position, good girl. So I'm going to start pretending as if she's a dog that doesn't know the heel position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take her high value treats, Ellie, and lure into the heel position. You're going to want to have a treat in each hand. And I make her sit, good girl, foos, position, good girl. I use that as position, or foos, whichever one I find. So you're going to want to have one treat in each hand, is how I find this easier. You're going to take the first treat in your right hand, if you want them to hit on the left, and you're going to lure them. Ellie, come on. I want to lure them around, and then sit, good girl, foos, good girl. She's getting more. Eventually, you're going to want to get to a point where you only need treats in your left hand if you're wanting to do a left heel. Ellie, come on. Foos. Sit. Good girl. And then obviously, Ellie. Foos. Ellie. Foos. Ellie. Foos. I don't even need one. Sit. Good girl. You're going to want to get to a point where you can just tell them. I have to snap, only because she's anxious, but usually if I say foos, she'll immediately go into position. So to start walking, come here. You can have them on a leash. For the purpose of this, I know you want treats. For the purpose of this, I'm going to actually put her leash on her collar, only because a lot of people use leashes on collars when they teach heel. I don't use leashes anymore. So you're going to want to start by getting their attention with the treats, and you're going to want to start walking and just kind of like hold it at their mouth, and then yes, good girl. You can turn, kind of lure them, and when they don't pull on that leash, that's a good girl. Heel. Sit. Sit. Good girl. Eventually, you'll get to a point where you can just go foos. Halt. And when they do it right, very good dog. When they don't pull on the leash is also a good idea. But you're going to want to lure them into that walking, and good girl when they do it. Good boy or good girl. So the next thing I'm going to teach is halt, which could go along with heel. Ellie, foos. Come on. I know, honey. Foos. Come on. Foos. Foos. Good girl. Good dog. So halt, I use stop and sit is basically what I use. So at least heel. Halt, so you're going to want to sit. Good girl. Make sure they stop. So kind of lure them with your treats. Come on. I'm going to use the leash because she's not really... She's going to have to use the encouragement today. So you're going to want to put the treat in front of their face, lure them. Halt. Good girl. Make sure they stop. Come on. Heel. Come on, baby. I know. This is the last one. Halt. Good girl. I used weight in the beginning, and eventually she learned herself. Foos. Come on. You could start by going in circles. You could start by halt. And then as soon as they do it right, you can stop luring them and just let them do it on their own. And eventually, you don't even need the leash. Come on. Foos. Come on. Good girl. You don't need hand signals. You don't need anything. So, I'm going to go ahead and adjust the camera again and talk to you guys for a second. So that is basically... Release, go pun. She's anxious. So that is basically how you train those 4 things. Luckily, I did get to those things in this video. I'm sorry this video is a little bit longer. It took a little bit to get her to cooperate. Luckily, I did not have to use the e-collar at all during this experience, which is incredible. So you guys can look forward to the next video. When the next video comes out, I will be adding a card right there, I think. I don't know. It'll be in one of these places, which will have a link to my future video. Also, if you want to see the last video, you can also check out that card right there. I'm going to put the card as my last video, just in case for those who are wondering. And eventually I'll put a link to, I'll also put a link to the old video in the description and a card right there. So my next video is going to be her grooming routine, since we have to do that today. I want to warn you ahead of time in case you want to watch that video. Her grooming routine is harsh. Not like harsh, but she hates getting baths. It's pitiful, guys, pitiful. And I've tried my best to do positive reinforcement and all that. She just does not like baths. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and look forward to my next video. The time markers are all going to be down in the description below, for those who want it. And thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Mike, and down here is my service dog, Elise. And we will see you in the next video. Bye.